Sometimes you miss the old days, but nothing changed unless you change what's around you, how you think, how you live, how you speak, how you walk, how you blink, how you talk, how you teach, how you reach, let it sink.
What's your purpose? What's your passion? Did it pay? What's your plan? Is it plane? On a plane? How'd you play? I'm just playing. What's your purpose? What's your passion? Did it pay?
Yes. You are now plugged in with Molly and Joe, the Mental Warriors.
What
up, Joe? Chilling?
What's good? What's happening?
Now, lots happening. We're not necessarily in a smiling mood today. The point of the show, what we got? What topics we got today, Joe?
Oh gosh, we are going to go into the killings of the young Black men that's been happening all over this country. That's the first thing we'll talk about. We're also going to bring on a special guest where we'll also talk about our topic of the day, which is racism, the elitist weapon. So we have a packed show for you, and we hope that you tune in and listen to what we're saying, because this is not a joke moment right now. So we're really going to speak from the heart. We might upset some people. We might make some people feel a certain way, but this conversation is really needed today.
Yeah. First things first, what we've been going through in the past week or so, there's been it's almost like it's open season on the Black man again.
Yeah.
So you can speak to that.
Yes, open season. Where these killings are just happening, just internal prejudice, whether it's killing by a white police officer, whether it's harassment from white people who live in their neighborhoods and think that they control the world. We're seeing a whole lot of these things happen, and it'll happen a lot more than they're supposed to. Think about, we're still fresh off what happened with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. We're just trying to get some closure. And sure enough, soon as that closure hits, bam, another case happens. Now we're dealing with Dante Wright. We're dealing with Adam Toledo. We're dealing with all of these cases where it didn't have to be that way. They didn't have to end up the way that they did, And I think it's because the fact that we are feared as Black men, physically feared, mentally feared. I don't know what it is, but we're feared.
We almost got mythical villainous characteristics. It seems like, the fact that we are athletic or we are imposing or what have you. It seems like for every turn they're trying to make us comply. To put the yoke around our neck, so to say. You understand what I'm saying? To keep us down. And that's what goes into our topic for the day, which is racism being the weapon of the elite. Is because this is something that was made. In the beginning of history, there was no such thing as a color of a people. There was nationalities that we're going to speak on later on. There were different, there were different ideologies that we're going to speak, we're going to speak to and all that other stuff. But when it came down to color and colorization, that was a tool that was invented by the powers that be to have the have-nots sit around and scramble for the scraps.
Yes. So, from a systematic standpoint, Religion was a tool that was part of the systematic structure. We talk about the Willie Lynch letter, classism. All these methods were used as tools to help endure racism, or to help make it stronger.
Right. So, in knowing that they situated the police in a position to maintain the status quo. Correct? So in this past week, we've seen a numerous amount of young men who just didn't comply. Even the sergeant, even the lieutenant down south there.
The Army lieutenant.
Yes, he got tased and such for for lack of compliance. Where when I saw the video, he was actually doing as what was told to him by the law. And here we are talking about all of these different things, and then on top of that, I see videos where you got white men sitting there, one hit a cop over the head with a hammer, and got the cop hanging out of his car while he pulling off,
and nothing happened to him. He had home eating breakfast the next day.
He had home eating breakfast. He's alive. He might not be home. He might be in jail. But guess what? He's alive.
To tell his story.
And that wasn't the only one. That was one of the, I saw about 3 of them this week, and it was almost like the universe was letting me know, listen, because I had people on my Facebook. There was listen, I ain't gonna name call nothing, but on my Facebook sit there and blame the kid.
Yep.
There's never a way to blame someone else for dying. Like, how you blame somebody for, how do you justify the loss of life? And that's how desensitized we are, because that was a black brother that said that.
Right.
You know what I mean? That, oh well, if little man complied, then this wouldn't be, then he'd be alive today. What? And then I watched video after video where you have these men, you have these white men definitely not compliant. I had one dude was sitting there just telling them off and pulled right on off.
Yep.
Pulled right on off. They had his arm. Remember, you saw the video, they had his arm, all that. He talking about, yeah.
Self-hatred is justified. It's I won't even say it's self-hatred. I'll say call them double agents, call them informants. These are people that have got so familiar with how supremacy has worked in this society. They think just like the enemy. They think just like them.
How? When the enemy don't even think compliance is what it is. The enemy just proving to us left and right, like, yo, what, man? Yo, I'm out of here. Fuck y'all. Let's get out. What y'all stopping me for? That's what they ask. What you stopping me for? Tell me what you stopping me for. Can you get out the car? Nope. Can you put that gun away? Nope. That's the white man just finished telling them. They said, yo, I see a gun in the car. They see a gun in our car. It's a shoot right away. Yep. No, they see a gun in the seat next to me. They asking this man to put the gun away.
Well, those who are part of the system, they don't see. I mean, they think that they're inclusive, but their job doesn't make them inclusive. Their position doesn't make them inclusive. How much money they make doesn't make them inclusive. The color of your skin definitely does not make you inclusive. So, unfortunately, for those who are arguing against the killings and saying that it's the fault of the person who was killed and not necessarily seeing everything for themselves, those people have to have a situation like that happen to them in order for them to see. And it's unfortunately, sometimes with a herd, some of the lamb are going to get lost in the stray. And that's what's happening in today's society. These lambs, I can think of worse names to call them, but I'll say that they're lambs because they're lost, they're roaming. They don't necessarily understand the full extent of what supremacy is doing. So in order for them to understand from where we're coming from, they have to go through a situation similar or let it hit close to home.
How?
And then that's when they'll wake up.
How when you're talking about our people.
I'm talking about our people. I'm not talking about the enemy. I'm talking about the friends of the enemy.
Good. The system is built for them. Okay, our people, when they hit close to home, how close to home do you need to hit when you look on TV and it's your people dying all the time?
I'm talking about family. I'm talking about immediate family. I'm talking about parents. I'm talking about kids or a wife or a husband, spouse. That's how close it has to hit in order for them to happen. Somebody that they genuinely care about. And then that's what it'll take for them to wake up. Because we could be of the same people. We could be of the same skin, but not all kinfolk is is family. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think not all skin folk is kinfolk. That's
the same. Yep, that is the same.
And that's where we are right now. So you're gonna have people who look at it as I think that they're being a devil's advocate when they're really being a friend of the devil.
Oh, no, but the system. Listen, remember the what's the show I told you? What's the movie? What's the documentary I watched the other day?
Oh, eliminate all brutes.
Eliminate all brutes. Eliminate all brutes. Eliminate all brutes. Eliminate all brutes. I'm telling y'all, if you want to open your eyes to something, you know what I mean? And trust me, you gotta have a strong heart, because it's heart wrenching as well. Trust me. Check out Eliminate All Brutes. Giving it a shout out. You know what I mean? That man put a masterpiece out there for the mental warriors out there. Trust you me. Trust you me. Because this the funny part is this country is about a lot this place is about a lot of stuff, man. There's about a lot of mysterious foul things that go on when you consider the structure of this country and the structure of the world that we live in today. Because there was a plan. There was a plan from a long time ago for complete domination of one race as opposed to the other. And like I told you, like keep telling people, race was a tool used because it was about property. Remember, it was about who had the most resources. But you couldn't say, well, this one get resources and that one get resources, because you have to share now. Because if we're all human, if we're all the same people, then you would have to share with us. You understand what I'm saying? But when you put us on a lesser level, because remember, they dictate. We probably can. But when they dictate to the society, to the world, they dictate to society, to the world, what is history. You know what I mean? They've always dictated to us what was history, what was the good, who were the good people, who was the bad people, who was the least educated, who was the most educated. And in every time they dictated or they said anything about it, listen, trust you me, they made them the elite force. They made them the what they call themselves, the supreme race.
The dominant. Well, I mean, it comes to this narrative. They control the story. Anybody who controls the story has the power. Anybody who controls the story has the power. And that's what they're doing. They have the power to control their story. But then when you see the other side of the story and realize that it makes sense, now we're deemed as a problem. We must be eliminated because of the fact that we're getting no truth out, or the other side that makes more sense.
And that's why the trigger finger this past week and these past years, and for years and years and years, has always been quicker for the black man than any other nation, is because the last thing they want us to do is be really woke.
Right.
And that's the last thing they want us to do. The last thing they want us to do is unify and be really woke, because they can't control that anymore.
Nope.
You can't control this anymore. Because that's what all of those different things they did. Whereas they had us fighting over land, they had us fighting over skin color. Trust me, listen, they sat there and got rid of the indigenous people. They got rid of the indigenous people.
Called them immigrants.
And called them the strangers.
Yes.
In their history book. Think about it.
Yes.
They discovered Indians.
Yes.
How the hell you discover somebody that was already there?
Yeah, exactly right. And that's the story. But now it's coming at, they were already here. And then people were already here before them. So you can't discover something that was already built. Well, so what makes more sense? Well, you eliminate the race that was here and then claim it as your own. And that's what's going on, not just with American history, but just world history. Any place that's been conquered, you have people that were there before.
Mm-hmm. So I need to just bring it back a little bit, because we're getting heated and hot about it. We said we was going to do that. Let's pay homage real quick, and then we move on, to what we have planned for the day. My first, exactly. Well, they're not even Indian. They the indigenous, because mind you, the fact that they were called Indian is because of Christopher Columbus, who never founded them in the first place. Because Christopher Columbus he was a bumbling fool.
That's right.
Compared to everybody else, he was a bumbling fool. But aside from that, this is where this exactly. Well, they were lost. All right. So, Joe, who we pay homage to today, man? Because I can tell you, this is not our show anymore, man.
I know, right? I'm paying homage to the warrior, a mental warrior like ourselves, the Honorable Angela Davis. She was an educator, an activist, became known for her involvement in a politically charged murder case in the early 1970s, influenced by her segregated upbringing in Birmingham, Alabama. She joined the Black Panthers and an all-Black branch of the Communist Party as a young woman. She became a professor at UCLA, but fell out of favor with the administration due to her ties with the Black Panthers. She was charged with aiding the botched escape attempt of imprisoned Black radical George Jackson and served 18 months before her acquittal in 1972. I have a story. When I went to Oakland and San Francisco a few years ago, I got to do a Black Panthers tour, like a virtual one that they had. And I got to see a lot of places that the Black Panthers actually existed out there. I got to visit the bookstore that there was their headquarters that's actually still around. And I went to Bobby Seale's house where he resided when he was part of the Panthers, like the whole neighborhood. So that was very influential for me. And, you know, we need more Angela Davises in this world.
We need all our sisters to start thinking like they Angela Davis, man, and be in that regard, man, because I think our sisters sell themselves short. They're sitting here having arguments with Kevin Samuels. Come on, man.
Right.
Come on, man. Get your value up for real. You know what I'm saying? You want to be a high value woman? Listen, get knowledgeable. Get into the fight. Get into the journey of what we're trying to do here. You understand what I'm saying? But mine's is the honorable, the great Nat Turner. Yes. And that's the kind of moment, that's the kind of mood that people need to be in the mental state. You know what I mean? We don't need to be violence, man. Fighting these people with violence is not the way, because guess what? Honestly, this is what they do. They built themselves on. Listen, when everybody else was talking about, I'm collecting all the gold in the world, they was collecting all the guns in the world, all the weaponry in the world. So where that gold that you did get, they could come take it. See how that works? All right.
Well, here's an even better one for you. The United States Army is the most powerful army in the world.
Well, we there already.
We there. But I got a tidbit about Nat Turner. One of my favorite comedians, his name is Paul Mooney. He told a joke when I went to go see him live. He said that he wished Hollywood would make this movie called The Nat Turner Story. And the theme would be, like, it was a Broadway theater, and one of the songs would be, kill them, kill all of them. All of them. It makes me laugh because it's the theme of Nat Turner, and he was such a rebel. You know, he was the first slave that had the rebellion. So, that whole mindset is where we need to be right now. Just not necessarily in a killing mindset, but use our minds to rebel and to revolt. And that's what's afraid. That's what people are afraid of.
Yeah. So we're going to move ahead, because I usually read about his, what they depict at his date of birth. How would you really know? It's Nat Turner. Like, you know what I mean? You know about the story, you know what happened or what have you, but this is the slave history is always the one that's, a little sketchy. Why? Because we were slaves. We were treated as nothing, for real. All right. But what we're going to do is we're going to segue into bringing in our guest for today. But I'm going to read a poem by an author here. It's called Take a Knee. Okay? Take a knee. Gladiators clad with modern day armor pads, through injury and defeat, keep you springing to your feet. Off that living room lazy boy glued to TV, sun, rain, snow, or sleep, they bear your unwavering belief. To be on the bravest team for 17 straight weeks, or war-torn shoulders supported by turf-charred, mangled, banged-up knees, while the forgotten blood of slave soldiers that star-spangled banner bleeds. The same nation you claim to be, came to be, by the blood, sweat, and tears of these, that built this nation on its knees and put it on its feet. From slaves to being labeled the very name slave masters never wanted them to reach, need, grow, because they were never posed to grow past the master's knee. Now slavery may be over, but only to a degree. Plantations became prison systems made to keep and prevent their seeds from growing into trees, the produce of those who still flourish, bear fruit, nourish, and feed. The children of the same damnation, headed for damnation, that tribe but can't manage to keep them on their knees. So don't try to take the knees out from under a man that understands and stands for his beliefs by taking a knee as a stance. Not to stand for injustice at the hands of the powers that be, to stand on his feet instead of dying on his knees. In non-violent, silent protest, not even exercising freedom of speech, from a people knowing they were never really let to be free. Not against the flag or the veterans that fight and sacrifice their own lives for my and your peace, but again the police that continue to chop them down at the knee. Another cop goes free. Another brother shot dead every day in the streets. So please, before you open your fat mouth, point your finger, burn his jersey, and malign his bravery, learn his story and U.S. his story. Then you might understand the risk he took, takes, and meets every single day when he walks down the street, just to breathe the same air you breathe, but not feel as free, which may seem a bit extreme unless you're black, and still thrive, live, and breathe in today's society. Matter of fact, you too should fall down on bended knees and pray that the very knees you despise and criticize never ever break or give from underneath. The weight of this nation has been carrying on its back since way back before it was known as home of the free.
Ashe.
Take a knee. And that was a poem. I think it was written down back in the Colin Kaepernick situation and whatnot. He felt, compelled to write that. And the author is here with us today, and that is Zachariah Ben Yisrael. Zachariah, if you could turn on. There you go. What up, brother?
What's good?
What up, brother?
How are you?
Oh, wow. Guess what they probably didn't know after I read that, right? look at your skin complexion, correct? Am I lying? Is that what you get a lot of, huh?
I forgot until I looked in the camera just now.
All right, this is my brother Zachariah Israel, man. And Zachariah, man, the floor is yours, man. I just want you to let the people know who you are, why you here, why you unplugged about the show, and why that poem is yours. That's your poem.
Okay, well, try to keep it brief as possible, but who I am, I consider myself a human being, not classified by any race, color, or creed. I don't agree with a lot of those categories. I was raised by one of the few white, quote unquote, Jews who marched in the civil rights movement.
Right, rotate your camera for me, please, brother. Rotate your camera.
Like this?
Yep, there you go. That way we can see you a little bit better. There you go.
And today I live my life as by the laws in the Old Testament. I consider myself to be a true-blooded Hebrew of the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's actually how I met one of your hosts, Mahli. His father and himself also was one of my first teachers in the way of life that I live. And, all respect to Chief Amos, Mahli's father, who was probably one of the wisest men that I met in our era. And that being said, me and Mahli go back for about almost, I think a little over 20 years now. Yeah. So, I was fortunate to have the type of father that I had and raised me to not consider, the stigmas or classifications of color that have been that we've been influenced by to live and got our lives by in this country. And I don't agree with a lot of it. And my father educated us and brought us up to think that all people were human beings, and unless they crossed you or did something wrong to you, there was no reason to point the finger and call anybody evil, or classify them by their past heritage. Mm-hmm. So, I've had friends from all walks of life, and it's kind of funny to say, but I had very few white friends growing up. A lot of black friends, Latino, what they would call today Latino. and just all different nationalities.
Let's
And through my studies,
let's speak to your father a little bit real quick.
okay.
Because that's the origin, right? That's the origin of who you are, where you get a lot of your spirit from. I'm pretty sure that's where it comes from.
Definitely.
What is the history of your family in that sense? Like, where did your family come from?
Okay, so my father was born and raised in Germany. Back then, it was known as Nazi Germany, and his family was raised under the laws of Judaism, or I should say the religion of Judaism, and so they were considered Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't start walking this way of life until I was older. I had life-threatening situation that changed my whole mentality on what I was supposed to be doing in life, and that God led me to the Hebrew way of life. And it wasn't until after I started living that way of life that my father questioned it and asked me what I was doing. He thought it was some type of cult. And I basically told him, nah, I'm just trying to live by the laws in the first 5 books of the Old Testament. So he said, all right, well, he's going to read it. And he got back to me like a few weeks later. I was incarcerated at the time. And so when I called him again, he's like, hey, I read it. And I support what you're doing. He said, as a matter of fact, I feel like God is returning you to your roots. And I was like, nah, Dad, this ain't Judaism. I'm not Jewish. And he was like, that's not what I meant. He was like, my father's father, about 5-6 generations ago, actually migrated to Europe from Jerusalem, from Israel. So that was the first time he mentioned it at the time, because as you can imagine, victim of the Holocaust, where he lost his entire family, he didn't talk about his childhood or his heritage too much. So as I grew up, learning what I learned from my father, and then when I got older, I started learning in school about American history. I had a project to do on the civil rights movement, and I know he mentioned to me when I was young, but I didn't have any details about it. So I decided to interview my father for that project in high school, and which is where I found out that he was actually a freedom rider. He didn't been incarcerated.
Where that picture at?
Yeah.
Let's talk that picture. Let's talk to it. Let's talk to it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you have another one. That's when he was incarcerated in Montgomery, Alabama. He had been sprayed with the water hose, attacked by police dogs and all that with the rest of the group. And I don't have any of these pictures to give to you guys, but I remember as a kid seeing pictures where he'd be the only white man with a picket sign or his fist up in the group. He met Dr.
There's another picture, isn't it?
Excuse me?
There's another picture.
Yeah, there should be another one.
Okay, go ahead.
And he met Dr. Martin Luther King personally. He met Malcolm X personally. I remember asking him, when I was interviewing him for that project, whose methods did he agree with more? And his answer was both. It depends on the situation that's at hand. So, as far as nonviolence or by any means necessary, so it's the type of father I had. I mean, this man was 5'1", but in my eyes, he was a giant.
Oh, he's a giant. Yeah, he's a giant right there. Trust me. Yeah,
he's been carried off by police in that picture, which I'm sure was part of a protest rally or movement that he was involved in.
Wow. He paying homage there. Right?
Yes. I'm paying homage to my father today.
Yes.
What's interesting with your story and with your father's mindset is that you said that he looked at both ideologies of Dr. King and Malcolm X and said whatever time calls for was the ideology he chose for. And it's funny how they tried to divide both of them. But what a lot of people don't know is at the end of their death, or right before they were assassinated, they kind of switched to the other side of the person's ideology. So
each one of them, both of them. You're right. Malcolm wanted to be a little more peaceful minded, and Martin was on some old. Listen, we might have to knock some noise over here, man. And as we're about to segue into our commercial break, Zachariah, I want you to stick around, brother, because I feel like you got so much more to bring to the table and to speak to our topic of the day. And I think all of this, I think it intertwines because it's what we're trying to do is break the myth of racism. You know what I mean? We are human beings. You understand what I'm saying? We are born of a certain structure, and the color of our skin just makes us diverse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think,
So when
we just forget that we're all family when you go back far enough.
yeah. So with that, let's get a word from our sponsor, the Evening Rush Network.
Looking to podcast shows and do not know where to start? The Evening Rush Network can help you with that. Call us at 929-441-2417 or email us at theeveningrushnetwork@gmail.com for dates and prices. We got you for all your podcast needs. The Evening Rush Network. Tune in, subscribe, and share.
Shout out. We also sponsored by Baller, and we also have our sister Sands by Butter, who gifted us some shirts the week ago. We still haven't gotten. I still haven't blessed you with yours, Joe. I haven't seen you in like a long time.
I know.
All right.
I know.
Okay.
We'll get that together. No worries.
So that way we can all be looking. We could be looking uniformed up here and whatnot. All right.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yo. So yes, Alicia. Yes. Alicia said. Big up to your pops, man. Big up to your pops, Zachariah.
Yeah, that's your sister, right? Yeah.
You know,
long time. I think we met a few occasions. But,
yes. She actually, quiet as kept. Joe right here. That's her significant other.
Oh, is that right? Ah, man, it's all the family. It's full circle.
Yes, man. You got to put the triangle together, connect the dots. You know.
Yeah. So it's all family here. Yeah, on the low. I mean, we try to keep the family. But yeah, man. Listen, as much as I'm upset about a lot of things that happened in the past week, I'm also very proud to have you on the show. That way, we can kill some of these myths that we as people can't come together and be brothers, because I consider you my brother. You know what I mean?
Same here, and I'm honored to be here.
You know what I mean? And I know you consider me the same. You know what I mean? We got history that goes back to where you know how that go. You know what I mean? That we things understood need not be mentioned, right?
That's right.
All right.
That's for another show. That's for another show.
A whole nother show. But like I said, you be back on so we can talk about all kinds of rhetoric at that time, right? What we're going to do is the hot topic for today, aside from us being murdered in the streets all day, every day, but is racism the elitist weapon? Okay, so Joe, how do you define racism being used as a weapon? How could you define that for yourself?
Well, racism is the strategy that was put forth. That was put forth for us to use, not for us to use, but society supremacy for them to use to show that they're the more dominant of the two. Because, like we talked about a little earlier, life is about showing your dominance, showing your power, showing your supremacy, and the people who created the racism factor, or the template, if you will, they consider themselves to be the dominant force. Mm-hmm. So they're using that to control the narrative, control the spectrum of what's happening in society. It almost feels like an entertainment factor, like how we look at sports, how we look at music as entertainment, something to cheer us on. It's like the scene in Gladiator where they have everybody in the dome, everybody's fighting amongst one another, and they're sitting in the crowd with their hands folded, giving you that parole board look. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's how I feel. So that's what I think of when I think of racism being used as a weapon. It's like, oh, they can kill themselves. We just, it's like they put a virus among the masses, and that virus, which is racism, is eating everybody out. And they got their gear on, they got their PPE on, and they're protected, and they're just looking at the virus kill us within.
Right. Zachariah, same question to you, brother, if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having some technical difficulty. My phone is dying.
Don't worry about it.
It won't seem to charge. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch over to my laptop. So if you can give me like 2 minutes, I'll be back.
I copy that. Just come off the screen real quick and then do what you got to do. Copy that. So now with the same question for myself, racism. I've always said racism is a tool used by the elite. You know, it's to keep us blinded. It's to keep us blinded to the truths. You know what I mean? It's that there is the 1%, as they like to call them, the 1%, that controls the majority of the world. You understand what I'm saying? Understands the the capital of the world, the resources. They want to hoard every last bit of what I would say resource for living, you know, control it, and then be able to delve it out to the masses. You understand what I'm saying? So if you got this bunch of people over here, and you say, okay, these people are better than these people, you always keep a divide. You always keep us fighting one another for what's happening down here on this level, all the while you're sitting there accumulating all of the resources, all of the natural resources from the lands. They did it in Africa. They did it to the indigenous people. Like, they are drained every last resource that they possibly can, and then pit people against each other. So the indigenous people is there. They have already been struggling.
Right.
So it don't exist. Race does not exist. You understand? Race actually was something that was born of this of these people. Meaning that there was one day they said, you know what? We're going to call them black. We're going to be the superior white people, and they're yellow, and they're such and such. And then you start putting labels and stigmas on each one of them. You understand what I'm saying? You say the black man, well, he's barbaric. He don't know nothing. He can't learn nothing. He can't do this. So you paint that picture about us, and then everybody else is against us. The Chinese, the whomevers. You know what I mean? Because remember, a lot of these nations came after the fact through what? Through us intermingling with one another. The Spanish.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? The Spaniards came over into the islands, and they ran through the islands. That's where you get the Panamanians and South America and all that other stuff from. And you got all these dark-skinned Spanish people. All right. So somebody asked and said, what is race? Does race actually exist? No, it should not exist. Race should not exist. There's no such thing as race except one race, and that's the human race. That's the actual, we were all born of a woman. We were all born of a man. You understand what I'm saying? Therefore, our color, the color of our skin should not matter, because the color of a jacket one day to the next. I got a black jacket on today, and then I got a red jacket on tomorrow. Guess what? They both is cool. I just felt like a black jacket today, and then tomorrow I feel like a red jacket, and then the next day I feel like a white jacket. But what color does? Color adds beauty to things. Right. You know what I mean? The different shades and the different hues and the different they add beauty. You understand what I'm saying? It's not a negative to be different colors, and I'm dark, you dark, and I'm a little lighter brown, and this brother over here is a little lighter than me. Where does that matter at? Except it's because they use it as a tool to keep us divided. Because the worst thing they would want to have us do is me, Zachariah, and you, and a bunch of other people do this. Right. The last thing they want us to do is to come to mind, come to the same mind. So Zachariah, the same question is to you, man. How do the elite use racism as a weapon, bro? To you.
Oh my gosh. I think it starts out, I'm gonna say it starts from what we call intergenerational influence. So the same way what Willie Lynch started when he pitted the light-skinned slave against the dark-skinned slave, when he made the parents, like the father, sleep with his son, when the mother sleep with his son in front of the other parent. When they made a pregnant woman watch them use babies for target practice. This is something that carried on for generations, to the point now where people think it's like it happened this generation when a black man hears sirens or see a police officer that his heartbeat raises.
We heard the horse hoofs. We heard the horse hoofs and be like,
this has been going on for generations, and then it's only reignited every generation through media and through real life situations, like how there's a systemic practice to create ghettos in the United States and place certain people there, and that's where all the drugs and the guns are sent, because no American black family has ties with, the
NRA.
the NRA or actually no, the groups that are actually what they call so-called terrorist groups that are actually part of the American agenda to bring guns and drugs in this country and have it sold by what he calls sleeper cells and operatives to the ghetto. You know what I mean? People work for the government and it's part of the system. And that's what a lot of people don't see. And it sounds like something that is only a conversation for conspiracy theorists, but it is a reality. And there's a reason why society is the way it is today. And then it's even, the next level is when we go to school. Everything that we learn, American history is exactly what Joe was speaking about earlier, when who's ever in power is in control of the conversation.
Correct.
So like, Egypt erased their history of when, the God of Israel destroyed it. They don't talk about that in their annals of history.
It's not there. It's not right.
The United States doesn't talk about, what great quote unquote African Americans, and I still don't even agree with even that term 100%, because you gotta go back further to see that Africa was named after a Roman general, Scipius Africanus. So to call yourself African, you're actually saying you're one of the children of a Roman. And it's just what has been named of today. So everybody is just, going by what we know as today. That's why we're going along with the term calling it racism, when actually that's not what it is. We've been programmed to use these terms and address it as such, but it's educationally speaking, it's not correct. So it starts an education system and, like I said, intergenerational influence.
What they've done, and I've noticed, and I want y'all to talk to this, is that before they give the black man their reparations, their apologies, they will give every other person and every other nation their rights first. They did it with women, and every time we fighting. Think about it. They always give somebody rights before us. I think that's in the face of the fact that who would want to readily admit what they've done to us?
Yeah.
You understand? Who would really want to readily admit that you really took us and did what you did to us? You don't want to admit that. You understand what I'm saying? So I get it. I get why they're saying, all right, the gays and lesbians is women's rights. Women's got rights now. Look, even the Asians. Look, just this year, the Asians got a bill passed to protect them from discrimination, and we haven't heard a bill yet about us.
Well, it's like procrastination, It's procrastination for them, they're defying the obvious. They're delaying the obvious. I mean, we know what went down. History speaks for itself. It's not like they can sit there. I mean, they've tried to tell a bold-faced lie, but the proof is in the pudding. It's been put out there so much. So for what kind of piggyback on what you said in regards to color and the value of color, that's where it becomes a monetary thing or the economic structure. Like you said, the value shouldn't be in the color of a person, but it should be in the actual person. Now that you're adding another element to it, you're adding color, you're adding things, you're adding a thing to it.
That's how you got these Trump supporters now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm this color. Go ahead, continue, Joe. Sorry.
Well, the only color that really matters is the color of our blood. It's red.
That's right.
There's nothing else that identifies us as special. Until I see somebody who's immortal, somebody who can do something outside of the normal, there'll never be anybody that can say that they're better than me in any way. Race, skin, creed, whatever. Unless you can show me that you can do more than me in the spiritual essence, that's the only way I'll ever sit here and say you're better than me. Your value means nothing to me. And I tell people that, and they look at me like I'm stupid. But I don't believe in labels and titles and things like that, because that doesn't do anything to me. That's something that was given. That's not something that was brought to you from birth. That's something that was given to you in your lifetime. You have to earn that. I get that. You can earn that title, but that doesn't really have an effect on your life. The title doesn't make you. The way that you respond to the title is what makes you, not the title itself. And that's what society needs to understand.
Zachariah?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because, you know, the way that the system has been using color, it even transcends just the racism aspect. If you look at the gang culture in the United States, it's like the red and the blue, right? And like right now, like Joe mentioned, you know, we're Bloods and Crips, right? You didn't mention that party, but he mentioned about all our blood is red, and that's what counts. And so, you know, even from a gang standpoint, you have like Crips out there to be like, no, you know, forget red and all that, and they call it dead and all this. No, but before your blood hits oxygen, it's actually blue. You know, so there's been so much for us around color. It goes beyond racism that they use it in every aspect to keep us all against each other. And the real thing is what you said in a previous conversation that we had, Molly, when we talked about it's actually not racism. It's not even colorism. It's separatism.
Right.
Because the powers that be use it to keep us all divided. And it's really about the elite of the world only sticking up for the rich people, and the rest of us are.
He froze up. Okay, so we're gonna keep on pushing. I was on every word he was saying there.
Listen, he had me
he
trapped
had
for a
me going.
minute.
Yeah, he had me trapped.
But there was a question. There was a question. Were we wrong for having black pride?
I kind of went out.
Don't worry about it, brother. We'll get back to you in a second. So there you go.
Can you?
So he's been wrong for having black pride.
Okay,
yeah, finish your thought if you can. He's freezing again. All right. Well, we got teaching the ropes of StreamYard. You know what I mean?
I was just saying that
there he goes.
You freezing up, brother. Yeah. All right. Okay. So we then wrong for having black pride. We'll get back to Zachariah. Trust me, that brother is going to be on. I told you, Joe, you was going to enjoy having this brother on.
You had me at the ears.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. You know what I mean? I just wanted people just to spring them on people. You know what I mean? Listen, trust me, we got plenty more guests that's so dope. You know what I mean? And if you got anybody, Joe, let me know, whatever. But the question is, so are we wrong for having black pride? Yes and no. I'll tell you why. The reason why I say yes and no is because, yes, if we're trying to kill the notion that race is a thing and race is a structured thing, then we can't perpetuate it through, you know, this whole notion of we black and, you know, and all that extra, you know, you understand what I'm saying? We have to promote unity. You understand what I'm saying? Even in our black pride. You know what I mean? Even as we're proud to be ourselves, proud to be black men, proud to be black women, proud to be black anything, we have to be open-minded to accept any unified front that wants to come and stand to the next, besides us. You know what I mean? Yes, you're right, Sean. They fear the united front. You understand what I'm saying? That's the reason why race exists. You know what I mean?
Can I also add to that as well? I think the form of black pride comes from, it was born, the origins come from the way we were treated as a culture, as a people.
That's why I was saying yes and no. That's why yes and no.
That's the yes part to it. Now it's not the fact that there's we're proud because we're black. We are proud because of the fact that we're showing that we matter, we value. Our lives are valued. So it's not coming from the fact that it's a colored thing. It's coming from the fact as a people. We just happen to be a black, brown, colored. So that's where the black comes from. But the pride is within ourselves and the struggles that we've gone through and how we're overcoming them.
I think
you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You're back.
Can I just say 2 seconds on that, what he just said?
Go ahead.
When a people have been oppressed for so long and your culture has been stripped away from you and you've been taught that there's something wrong with you or that you're inferior, there's nothing wrong with building up your people and telling your family that we should have pride about ourselves. Right. And I think that's the real root of the Black Pride movement or Black Power or whatever it be, Black Lives Matter, because it's evident that you've been suppressed for so long. And I say we, because we're all Adam and Eve were black, you know, whether whoever wants to accept that fact or not. It's just different. We look different because we came from different regions.
Right. So now to go what you're saying there, you said having black pride it's not a bad thing. You understand what I'm saying? Because, but the reason why we have to have so much black pride, where it seems like it's overtly like, oh, look at me, I'm black and I'm this and I'm that, is because, like you said, because of the amount of oppression that we've been through. And it's almost like we're just opening up a book today. It's like, wow, we're this? Wait a minute, hold on. I need to take pride in who I am. You understand what I'm saying? But now here's the slippery slope for me, right? Is that there's so many people taking so much black pride that they will look at a brother like Zachariah and won't accept him.
Yeah, I've been through it.
You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? Because they're so black, or because they're so proud to be black, they won't accept a brother like Zachariah in their fold or in their circle, and they would be doing themselves a disservice, correct? Or even his father, correct?
And half of that is part of the brainwash, because it's all to keep us divided. So we're stronger together, but they don't want us to be. They don't even want blacks to be together. You know.
Right. Well, that goes to separation of color. Like that's what we talked about earlier in regards to the color not being the factor. It's more about the pride itself. But then the enemy has gone to say, well, let's let them look at the color of themselves and let them see the value in their color, when there really isn't no value in color. The value is in humanism.
And that's the funny part, because guess what? They keep giving you value for nothingness. They gave us the dollar bill.
Yeah.
And they gave us money in replacement of oil, in replacement of land, in replacement of stuff that come out the ground, minerals and diamonds and all. And mind you, none of those have value either.
And the money does not even have value. The money is just a promissory note, because it's not even backed by silver anymore.
Bruh.
It's like an IOU.
So tell me the elite is, it's pure genius. One, of course it's genius, because we wouldn't be here today talking about it if it wasn't a genius move by them way back when. They have the people sitting there believing in gods of nothingness. You know what I'm saying? The color of your skin, nothing. The monetary note, nothing. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Well, we see what's happening right now, and let me just open up some ears for a little bit for those who don't understand. Take away from the monetary value of the dollar, something that's visible, something that's obtainable. Everything's being taken into credit. Electronic finance seems to be the new wave now. And once you get rid of the money, everything's going to be electronic. So you have nothing that's there. You have nothing to call for money. All you have is a number that's being given.
I know that's that. But
all you have is a
Go ahead,
all you have is a number that's going to be given to you, your value. You'll have nothing in monetary value anymore. So it's being set up so that where our number is becoming is going to be a thing, and it's not going to be any type of value in the dollar anymore.
And the movies has been leaning us towards that for the longest. Because I'm gonna tell you one. It's a funny movie, actually. It has nothing to do with all the conspiracy theories or the sci-fis and nothing like that. It was Pootie Tang. One of the thing was, my man said, my man went and made a song, and this is what he did. And they was like, that's a hit. Why? Yeah. Because that's the same thing they're doing with the whole notion of, okay, we're taking away money, that, because mind you, it's about control. You understand what I'm saying? Because remember, money, we still putting it under our mattress. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We put that in the safe, this, that, and the third. But now if you say, okay, electronically, that's we're gonna do this this money thing electronically. Guess what? Now I know exactly what you got. I know exactly what you're worth. I know everything about you, because you can't hide your money under the bed no more.
Nope. They have power. They have the power, and they control it, because you can't just go out and get it. They have it, and they control how you spend your resources, where you spend it, who you're giving it to, and they know all your beings. Now, I'm not saying that's a conspiracy theorist, but it's there. It's being done in steps, and you can see it, but it's only those who understand it to acknowledge it and understand what's happening.
And it wasn't enough with mainstream media, like with TV, radio, and what before the advent of the internet. Now the social media is so much bigger an influence than TV or movies ever were, on the human mind. And if you can get a conversation, if you can get a conversation to like have certain videos streaming and go viral, you know, in everybody's timeline, you can control the way that the masses think. So you create a mass mentality instead of just, you know, different groups having different opinions. Now, everybody's on one accord to hate each other, divided against a certain group. And that's why this bill about the Asian hate crimes is being publicized on news so much, because they want the black community to see it and get angry.
Right. Because what it is
it's not a coincidence that they put it out in front of everybody.
Yeah. Oh, I like that point, because you did bring up that. You did bring up that point last week, Joe. You heard what he said here. He said that he said that they use that as a tool to incite us some more.
But here's the thing about it: you're going to incite us by seeing it happen, but we're still being wronged. We're still being persecuted. So what's the point of inciting us if there's nothing that you're going to do to make us feel better about it, or to make us? Are you just rubbing it in our faces?
No, Joe, you know why? You said this yesterday.
Really what it feels like.
You said this yesterday, Joe. And the reason to that, what you just said, is because you're looked at as the greatest threat.
Yes.
So you have to be fed constantly, because you're too strong mentally and physically as a people, that it can't just allow one of these tactics to keep rolling. They got to feed you and hit you hit you in the back of the head, on top of the head, on your back, everywhere.
Hey, that's my brother. Tell him, Zach.
I mean, you know, people might look at me and be like, no, white people might watch this and be like, oh, who does he think he is? He think he's black or nothing. And I used to hate that comment coming up, because you can't think you something that you're not. I look at myself in the mirror every day. I know who the fuck I am and where I come from, but I also know that we come from deeper roots than the colors that we are today.
Exactly,
no nation of people, or no color of people, is actually from the same nation. We've been mixed and mingled so much that your parents 3 generations or 10 generations ago might have been a whole different color than you are today. And you over here talking about pride or looking down on another person or because of their color, and you not even realizing you stepping on your own ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like if you've been in the streets, right, and you know a crackhead or you know a dope fiend, and if you haven't been in the streets, you're automatically going to look down on them and be like, they are lesser than a human being. They're just they're disgusting. Okay. But if you've been in the streets and you've interacted with some of these people and you've seen them in moments where they displayed a higher level of humanity than some people that have never touched a drug a day in their life, and they have bigger hearts than some people that go to church and are dedicated to their religion, then you understand, okay, you know what, I had the wrong view of what every person that does drugs is not like this. So it causes you to look at everybody. So until you've been in somebody's living room, you've interacted with that people, you can't understand their plight, you know? And that's what it is. I've been fortunate enough to grow up in a variety of different nationality households. And I've been, you know, in like most of my father's friends, none of my father, I can't remember him taking us to a friend of the family that was white. You know, I met them like playing soccer and in school and stuff. So like, I don't know. My father didn't think he was black. He taught us who he was and where he came from. He just didn't speak of his heritage too much because of his traumatizing childhood. But that said, I grew up on a whole different level here in the United States, where we're a melting pot. So
as we closing out a little bit here, you know, we got about a good 5 to 10 minutes, I believe. Sean told us that we go over a little bit here. Someone that wrote, this is a fact, we are all mixed, right? And I'm gonna tell you something that Zachariah had mentioned yesterday. Maybe it was yesterday, maybe it was the other day. I'm not sure, but I know that he had said that his sons are half black.
That's right.
You know, we're gonna go with the races, half black, half white, right?
Yeah. You have that picture that I sent you, my wife.
Yeah, I think you did say that. You said that. Oh, the picture? Yeah, that's his wife, his beautiful wife. Yeah, let's throw it. Beautiful wife.
Black Lives Matter makeup.
Yeah. That's a dope picture. Yeah, let him show off a little bit, y'all. Let him show off. But while they find that picture, hopefully our producer finds the picture and sends it out. There she go. Beautiful sis. Black Lives Matter. Police line not cross. Yeah, beautiful. That's his brother's wife, And the funny part about this is he explained something that was very telling. He said that his two sons, being black and white, okay, they're 9 times out of 10, they're gonna grow up, you know, and probably more than likely lean towards their so-called black side, right? And then might marry, you know, might marry a black woman, might not. Who knows? You know, we ain't gonna go there, right? But let's say they marry a black woman. This brother said by the 3rd generation, when these kids are dark skinned and won't be able to tell, you know what I mean, if they mixed or not,
That's right.
some of them won't even realize that their great grandfather was a white man.
That's a quote unquote white man.
A quote unquote white man.
White man. By them defining you as such.
I mean, by the color of my skin, and it doesn't speak to who I am as my nationality and my roots, right?
Right.
And I believe that because, you know, of the way of life I live, God showed me on many levels that, you know, I belong to a people whose origin is of the East. And those people in the East, you know, we're all people of color because of the climate, if not the origin of where man originated, you know.
That's right.
Indeed, brother. And then closing out, what you speak on, you know, let's close out, Zachariah. You can start with your closing remarks, brother.
I just want to say that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, this whole conversation is supposed to enlighten people and give insight to the viewers about, you know, us remembering that we are all one people, not to fall victim of the biggest weapon of racism used by the elite to keep us all separated.
Mm-hmm.
And also for us to remember that, you know, every culture should be in touch with your roots, but don't forget to go further back in history than just what America teaches us about who we are and where we came from. And Black history is important because it's been suppressed. But at the same time, let's teach our children to go back even further to find out that we all come from one man and one woman, and we're all related, so that we don't get caught up in learning Black history, that we forget to accept people of other cultures and unite with them as well, as long as they're willing.
And that goes with the whole notion of when I said that the indigenous people did not exist only when they were discovered.
Yeah.
They existed way before they were discovered.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? They had a culture, they had a land, they had a belief. And mind you, listen, everything about the indigenous people that I've ever noticed, it was a beautiful thing. You understand? And they destroyed a beautiful people, man. Yeah. This is my honest opinion. They destroyed beautiful people, man, because them people was in tune with the land. They was in tune with nature. Like, they was so in tune. No, I mean, maybe I'm bugging or whatever, but I know I you know what I'm saying? The Indians was cool, man. And the
natives.
The indigenous. I'm sorry, I keep making that mistake. And the funny part is, we'll talk about this another time. We're gonna bring up the indigenous people as a topic another time. All right. But and my closing out, I want to thank you, Zachariah, for being and being my brother for all these years, man. It's always refreshing to hear from you and to know where your mind at, and know that I have you in the trenches with me, to my left or to my right, in this battle of the mind. You understand what I'm saying?
I have no idea, brother.
Listen, I already know. I'll tip my hat to you, brother. Joe, close out.
Yeah. This has been great. I mean, there's so much more we could talk about and so much more we can discuss. We have just hit the tip of the iceberg. You know what I mean? But I'm looking forward to having you on again already, so we can continue the conversation. Because the sad part about this society and this world is that these things will continue, regardless of how much we talk, how much we protest, how much we fight about it. It's going to be a revolving cycle. So unfortunately, things worse than what's happening now will occur, and we'll have to talk about them and keep them. I think us talking about the issues, us explaining what's happening, is what's bringing more to people's eyes. And unfortunately, this is me being humble, that I think it's going to be something real worse than what's happening now that's going to really open people's eyes and make them wake up. You know, so I'm looking forward to our next conversations, our rants, raves, whatever you want to call it. But there's a lot more that can go along with what we're going to talk about and discuss.
Right.
Much respect to you both, man.
Yes. So what I want to do is I want to give a shout and a rest in peace to all the lives lost in the past week or so. Unfortunately, we still live in a society that jumps at the notion of racism, and jumps at the notion of color, and jumps at the notion of the systemic oppression that we're under. Unity is what we promote. Unity is what we were about. You understand what I'm saying? If you're about negativity, if you're about separatism, then you still are a tool of the elite. And with that, I want to say good night.
Peace.